Hey guys, Jonathan here, and in today's video, I've combined not one, but two copies of the LEGO Marvel X-Men Mansion. Now, ever since I first saw the X-Men Mansion and saw that it was two stories, I really wanted to expand it. You know, one of my big issues is that for $330, I just don't think that the price for what is offered is all that great. That being said, I'm very grateful that LEGO sent me a copy of the X-Men Mansion to review, and on release day, I went to my local LEGO store, bought another one, dumped out all the pieces, and built what you see here. Now, when you have two X-Men Mansions, of course, that does allow you to build a second Sentinel, which is cool because now I can have an attack going from both sides. But the biggest thing here, as far as the change goes up front, is of course adding that third floor. Now, when we look at images of the X-Men Mansion from various media, we should keep in mind that the LEGO X-Men Mansion is not specifically based off of any one X-Men Mansion, but does take a lot of inspiration from X-Men 97. So, as we take a look at this, when we see the three-story version of the X-Men Mansion from, various media, when we look at the middle area, there actually are windows between the bottom floor and the top floor, where, of course, we have kind of this walk-out balcony. So in order to do that, I actually had to extend these pillars up front, which was a little bit tricky because the pillars on top actually needed to be rounded off with like a flat piece of some sort because this entire balcony is a part of the third floor. So that was kind of interesting. Also, adding more floors inside, I had to decide what I was going to do to decorate those with. So I didn't want to repeat anything if I could help it. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at the exterior, inside, and everything I did to combine two X-Men Mansions and make an even bigger, better version of the set. Alright, so we'll start with a brief overview of the outside. I left everything the same on the ground floor outside because even though you now would have three more of the individual base plates to work with, I think that size-wise it does work out. Now, if you guys remember in my review of the official set, one of my biggest gripes was how much space, in my opinion, is wasted with this back alleyway. Because when we get to the inside, everything is so narrow on the inside that, you can't hardly fit your hand in some areas and things like that. Now, having dumped out all the pieces and built what you saw here, I actually do think there are enough pieces, knock on wood, to be able to extend it all the way to the back, but it really only adds about 3 or 4 more studs of depth to the inside, and in order to do that, you basically would have to take apart the entire backside of the model, and I wanted to get this video done first with adding the extra floor. I may or may not actually go ahead and add more depth at some point. This was kind of mentally exhausting to put together and to plot out, so I think I'm just going to live with this for a little while, but at some point in the future, I may go ahead and extend the back. Maybe I'll get bored. Maybe you guys really want to see it. I don't know, but let's take a closer look now. So like I said, everything on the ground floor is basically the same. I didn't make any changes to the interior. The only thing you'll notice are that these towers, these pillars, are much taller now to equate for the fact that that balcony is now on the third floor instead of the second floor. One thing that's nicer is you can see the mutatus mutandis on the door a little better, which is kind of hidden under the balcony in the official set. So let's move up a floor now. Now, if there's one thing that's true for the X-Men Mansion is even when you expand it, it's still kind of awkward to show the angles and sides. So this, of course, is the section that goes right here. I did a repeat build of the Danger Room. This piece here is a little bit flimsy compared to the original, but, we've still got the lasers and everything. And in this room, I built Magneto's glass chamber, which we see in the movies, which, of course, is like white and glass and everything. So I used a lot of the spare pieces for that. And then, of course, that plugs into here. Now, that brings us to the middle section, actually, and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so moving on from Magneto's room, we now have Cerebro, which, of course, you could fit Professor Xavier in. The way I built it, unfortunately, he doesn't fit, like, straight on. The chair doesn't really walk in. It almost sort of fits, but not quite. That's a design issue for another day. But since I have another X door, I put that on the back here to be reminiscent of the movies and all that. And then I actually used all of the, well, not all, but a lot of the blue tiles from the roof to kind of darken the room and make it look a little bit more like the cylinder that we see in the movie, or like the dome or whatever. So it's not perfect, but again, remember the challenge is to not use any pieces that don't come in the set. So this is a cool way to kind of hide a better Cerebro on the middle floor here. And then, of course, that balcony attaches so that when we put it here, you can knock that pillar off just like I did. But And you can knock that pillar off too, but it lines up a little something like that. And so now we have the balcony. And as we move along, I didn't want the entire middle floor to be new and custom. I wanted to switch it up. So I left the bedroom exactly where it is, like in the set. And because of Cerebro, it's actually walled off on the side now, as well as on Magneto's side. You can see he's basically just staring at a wall. No easy way around that, but I do like the way that Cerebro looks in there, and I'm very happy with the new additions on the second floor. So now that brings us to the third floor, where I basically left everything the same except for the final room, which we'll see here. So we get more Danger Room, which is much taller now, and darker. We've got Xavier's lookout there for it. We have the lab, which I guess is not very accurate now because it says lab level 1, even though it's on the third floor. But I added this area. Okay, I cheated, and I did add one piece that's not from the X-Men Mansion, and that's this Deadpool head that's sitting on the shelf next to the chessboard. I also put the X sticker on the wall, like it's, you know, something that's hung up and commemorative, and since we didn't get Deadpool in the set, I thought putting a Deadpool head here would be really funny. Then I thought, well, what can I add that would be cool? And I thought about the kitchen scene where we see them in X-Men 97 quite a bit. So, of course, there's a sink, there's a stove, there's an oven. We've got the blue counter space, which we see. And there's lots of studs so you could have the figure stand. We've got some salads on plates, the drink bottle. And if we look in the show, there's actually windows right in front of the sink and all that. So I made that accurate, and it kind of helps it look different from the back, too. So I really cooked on that one. And let's go ahead and zoom out and round out this video. All right, guys, let me know what you thought of this combination video in the comments. This was a lot of hard work, a lot of planning, but I do have to say that if you buy a second X-Men Mansion, you will have a ton, and I mean a ton of leftover pieces. So if you're a mock builder, that's great because you all have leftover pieces. But on the flip side, I think that you could build this without actually buying a second copy of the mansion and just ordering the pieces that you would need. Now, what pieces those would be, I don't really know how to communicate that other than to tell you to watch the video again from the start and maybe try to eyeball what you might need. But regardless, I'd love to hear what you guys think. So be sure to hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video.